Hello everyone and welcome to the final episode of Beyond the Billboard presented by the 4As. Yes, that's right, this is episode 7 and it's a final episode. It's been a great ride so far, speaking to all the movers and the shakers of the Sri Lankan advertising industry, and I hope that you've been enjoying the content that we've been putting up. Now, in today's final episode, we have got someone who is a head of an agency, and we are going to understand what it is like to run an agency in this episode. But before I do introduce our guest, I'd like to mention who our episode sponsor is. The sponsor for this episode is Lanka Tiles. Our production partner is Hype Media Network. They do things like covert marketing, influencer management, any form of video production, be it film or animation. So if you do want to get in touch with them, get in touch with them on the number on the screen, which is on the screen right now. Our creative partner is Loops Integrated, and our location partner is Triad. Right. Now, as I mentioned, we have someone who is very experienced, been in the advertising industry for about 30 years. She is a CEO of a well-known advertising agency. She's also one of the former presidents of the 4As. She's been in agencies in the past like Impact House, Varuni Jayasekera Associates, Advantage Sri Lanka, and Bates, which is now Engage Strategic Alliance. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Sheron Jayasundara, who is the CEO of Engage Strategic Alliance, with us today to share her extensive experience in advertising. Welcome, Sheron.
Thank you very much for having me.
It is nice to have you here.
Likewise.
No,
Thank you very much for having me.
I'm not going to call you old, but these agencies, right? Impact House, Varuni Jayasekera.
Yeah.
We don't hear of them anymore.
Yeah, but they grounded us.
They did.
Yeah, they did ground us and gave us that stepping stone to where we are today.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the kids of these days would not even have heard of these agencies, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so someone who's been in the agency for very long, right? I'm sure to get to where you are today, which is a position of where you are an agency head. You would have had quite an extensive amount of experience, right, in different areas in advertising. But what I'd like to understand is, if you take advertising, what is it that you specialize in?
I would say from the time I got in, you mentioned all those agencies. So in those agencies, throughout those agencies, I worked in different disciplines. So as a result, I became all-arounder during those areas that I worked in. And that has helped me to where I am today. So I would say when it comes to getting everything together, in all those areas, one thing that I've mastered is those relationships. Relationships in advertising matter a lot. And today, client relationships are what keeps us going.
True.
No matter how good your work is, how good you help build a brand, at the end of the day, if you have that good relationship, I think that's what goes far, and I think I've been able to do that.
So you specialize in client relationships, is that it?
Yes, yes. We have long-standing clients, and those clients have been with us for a long time.
Nice.
Is because of that bond we have.
Yeah, and I think that's also something that a lot of young ones today don't really focus too much on, right? Really understanding how important a relationship is in this industry.
Yeah.
Just before we started and when I was talking to you, you were talking about how great advertising is.
Yeah.
So of course, as someone who's been there for a while, why do you think advertising is awesome?
My gosh, I think advertising is the only industry that helps make such good brands out there. Today, if not for advertising, I don't think we would recognize or differentiate from one brand to another. I think we are underrated, frankly, compared to all the other industries. They are all in their own silos. But I think we are one industry that's bringing everyone together, everything, and actually making that
We make the magic for the brands.
Exactly, right? I mean, that want for that brand, maybe it's not even worth it. But advertising creates that need, that want, and puts things out there that actually at the back end, we do so much to get that brand recognized out there, which is not seen. So advertising, I think, is very awesome. From whether it's the person that we are building or a brand we are building.
And I think you've also had relationships of other kinds, no, in advertising.
Such as?
Something that you were mentioning before.
Oh, okay. Like, yeah, I met my life partner in advertising. So that was the good thing about getting into advertising.
I got into advertising. Sharon, you're really taking relationships to another level.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So also, as being a CEO that manages an agency has to be challenging. I know because I was one, right? And I mean, at the end of the day, there's so many things that you need to manage, from people's feelings to the clients to the operations to even whether, for example, the bathroom tap is working, right? But most importantly, you're also responsible for the agency's bottom line, right? And I know that for a while now, it has been challenging in the Sri Lankan landscape. How has it been for you? What are your thoughts about how it is for agencies right now?
I think navigating through this has been one of the worst periods in my career. Things that no one has taught us how to get through this kind of volatile period, and it has been so challenging. Cracking a brief and getting a brand out there is easy, but I think running the agency during this time, because we had one crisis after the other, so every time we try to get up and stand on our feet,
something happens, right?
Something happens and you're back to square one, starting from scratch, getting things building back again. So it's been really, really challenging.
And how have you guys managed to survive it?
We I actually had to make some hard calls also, and it has not been easy to make those calls, but we did those to sustain the business. And I think those helped us to where we are today to manage things. We can't think too far beyond today. I think not only our agency, any agency wouldn't think beyond even 3 months. 3 months is also a luxury today. So we've been doing that and managing our costs, managing our resources, and then seeing how do we maximize business out there. Our clients also went through a volatile period, so it was very difficult. Advertising becomes like a dustbin. Something happens in anywhere in the world, and suddenly it all lands on advertising. And we are the first to get affected.
Yeah, because it's very easy, right? When you have everything, they'll be like, okay, cut the marketing budgets first.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So with all these issues, now I know things are, recovering, and we are, I think, heading towards a better place, touch wood, right? But in this landscape, and as somebody who runs an agency, do you think it's viable to start an agency or have an agency?
Actually, if you start an agency, I think you'll be better off, because you're starting from scratch and you're managing that whole thing, planning it well. All the agencies already have certain set, I would say even baggage. Yeah, right. You are trying to carry on and manage all those resources probably that we don't even need. We already have. So there are certain investments, there are certain decisions you made for which we had to carry through.
Right.
So the small agencies can survive because they will somehow manage their costs better than us. We already have a set cost, and now we have to somehow try to work within those costs, manage that, and then move forward.
And I see there are a couple of issues, right, that the industry is facing. I think it's not just this industry, multiple industries are facing this, but let's look at it through the lens of advertising. I know that agencies are having a problem with retention, right? And also, hiring, right? Lack of talent, lack of good talent. How do you manage that?
Very difficult. I think what we try to do is at least retain what we have. And that's sometimes difficult to do also, because we can't do now the costs have increased, and certain agencies are paying a very high price for some of these resources also. While we don't have younger audiences, younger people coming in to advertising, we have an older crowd which has helped to sustain the business and take it forward. But we need new, and we have been trying to do that. We've been trying to bring in new blood as much as possible, so that we have a good balance to support.
Because new blood is important, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not saying that the older folks are not talented.
Retaining is another question altogether. It's very difficult.
But with the pace of how things are moving these days, and there are so many new trends, right? It's very hard to keep up with. I mean, you do need that young talent and their perspective in things.
From my point of view, the balance is actually because the younger guys don't have the passion.
That's true.
At least the earlier guys, they were passionate about advertising, about the industry. They want to do something, they want to get something done. They're proud of what goes out there. But the younger guys, I don't see that passion in them. Sometimes they come with the demand of salary, so they take this also like a job. So that's where I try to bring that balance in, because otherwise you will not be able to really manage those resources well.
So is there anything that you specifically do to try and retain people?
I try to talk to people.
Okay.
So sometimes we try to reason out and try to make things nice, good to work in the agency.
A good culture.
Try to do that, and if you take and engage, we've always had a very beautiful, unique family culture. So people belong. People feel, they are a part of this. And if you talk to a lot of people who have gone from the agency and left us, joined elsewhere, they'll always say, it has never been like when we were working at Bates, Engage. So we still maintained. We have a youth club in office that organize events, organize get-togethers to try and keep that camaraderie, that passion going as much as possible.
And also, Sheron, I mean, this is something, I mean, whenever we are in social circles, when we speak to people, I don't know about you, but this is something that I hear over and over and over again, where a lot of people complain about Gen Zs, right? A lot of complaints about Gen Zs, and it usually comes from the older folks, right? So, so what I also kind of observed is that especially the millennial generation, especially more than the 90s millennials with the Y1, like the 80s millennials to the baby boomers, etc. They find it tough to manage these Gen Zs, right? Your thoughts?
Managing Gen Zs is a different thing altogether. I think they don't want, like those days we used to stay passionately in an industry. Once we choose an industry, we try to stay there. But they keep trying to see, okay, where do I go, what do I do, I'll try this, I'll try that, I'll do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So it's difficult for actually to understand what do they really want to do with their life. I have asked people many times, where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself in advertising? You've chosen advertising, do you say? They don't know. They don't want to make a career out of
commitment issues.
A commitment. That's why they lack that passion to want to
stay. And also I think it's a problem. I mean, I blame the digital revolution. I think it's also a problem with people's attention spans, right? They can't stick to one thing for too long.
Yes.
So it's really hard to kind of find those ones who are really passionate grounded about that. Forget advertising, right? Following a path that you believe in, following a path that you're passionate about, whether it's advertising or whether it's law or whatever. Right?
They don't want to make a decision and commit themselves to anything. I think it's not only their careers, I think sometimes even with other things, they want to have a very loose, fluid fluid way of doing things. Keep
So
it
this,
open,
listening to you,
open-minded.
listening to you, it also feels like you consider these a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. I think they need to see somewhere down the line. They need to be able to take that decision. My daughter is a teenager, so I see how they discuss things and how they do things, and we try to ground her as much as possible to be a little more level-headed in making certain decisions.
Interesting.
I think that that would help. Otherwise, it becomes like a lost generation. You have to be so politically correct also when you are talking around them. And
we can't throw the same banter we used to
exactly
back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Now everybody is very
sensitive.
Yeah.
So you have to be sensitive. You can't be shouting around and you're jumping around. Every word you say is being taken in a different way. So you have to be very careful in choosing the words.
I wonder how many comments we'll get from the Gen Zs after seeing this particular segment. I do encourage some, vocal remarks coming. Your opinion, please. Go ahead. Tell us we're wrong. Tell us how to do our jobs. Just kidding. All right, let's go in for a short break, Sheron, and come back for the second segment. Let's see a message from our sponsor, Lanka Tiles, and we'll be right back.
Enjoy the infinite possibilities of the freedom of space, inspired by the breathtaking beauty of our land. Sri Lanka's finest finished, largest sized porcelain tile collection. Majestica. Lanka Tiles. Fine living redefined.
Welcome back to segment 2. You are watching Beyond the Billboard with me, Wasaam, and we have Sheron in this episode. Sheron, continuing the conversation. Now, being in the industry, but something that I've also realized, and this is something that I feel that's happening in a lot of agencies, right, is this whole thing of firefighting. There seems to be a lot of firefighting that goes on in the industry. A lot of fires to douse, right? It could be, it's lots to do with the projects that you work on, clients being unhappy, and just trying to make sure that certain things don't screw up at the same time, right?
That's the word.
And as somebody who, you say, specializes in relationships, I'm sure you would have had to get involved with your own fair share of firefighting.
Yes. Every day.
How has that experience been for you?
My gosh, I don't think you can take firefighting out of advertising. If you're in advertising, you have to be ready to, be a part of that firefighting every day. There was a guy in office who used to always say, Sharon ge putuwa sakkara ge putuwa wage. Hamadama gini aragena.
කවුද ගිනි තියන්නේ?
ගිනි තියන්නේත් ඒගොල්ලෝ. හැමදාම මේ ගිනි අරගෙන තමයි ඉන්නේ. So that's very much a part and parcel, and we somehow find a way to navigate. I guess that's the experience we have. So everyone counts on us to try and step in and do that.
And in these situations, do you
So you have internal fires and then the external client fires.
Yeah, so in this situation, in these kind of situations, have you found a lot of clients to be unreasonable?
Yes, sometimes. But I have found that if you reason out with them and you talk to them and tell them, they do see, and I've found clients, coming back, discussing it, and we find a mean ground.
And in the last 30 years, how often did you have to scold clients? Have you scolded clients?
I have, but I don't think the clients realize that I've just scolded them.
Passive aggressive?
I have a nice way of talking to clients and telling them and making them realize. So as a result, they don't see it.
That's not scolding, no.
No.
That is you being diplomatic, no, Sharon.
Yes. I have never been rude to a client.
You've never scolded a client?
No. I've been very nice.
What's the meanest thing you've said to a client?
I really can't think of anything mean that I have ever said to my clients.
My God, you must be like all rose, you know.
That's why we have long-standing relationships.
I see.
with
And
the
as
agency.
a result, you don't find clients walking all over you?
No.
No.
No. I think clients, I found all our clients to be very respectful in that sense. Maybe a little bit of the AEs get bullied and that's there. But otherwise, I think they've been very good clients. Very good clients, mutual respect for each other.
Let's okay, 30 years, no, sure. How about we go 20 years back,
Okay.
right? I mean, 20 years ago, you weren't a CEO, right?
No.
Were you? Okay.
No.
You would have been more junior position.
Yes.
With,
Was
you know,
account
I mean,
manager.
as you obviously go up the career ladder, there's more respect that people would have for you, and more, even the kind of way people would approach you, even clients, the way they would approach you would be a little bit more, you know, they'll be a bit more cautious or conservative in the way they approach you. What if you go right back to some of the earlier times? I'm sure you've had some experiences where you had to tell a client off.
Did I tell a client off? I really can't remember
Okay.
a time that I have told a
That's
client
fine.
off.
That's all right. But let's call you a relationship specialist.
That may be why I've not been rude to my clients.
Right. As a relationship specialist, what kind of strategies do you employ to maintain a good relationship with clients?
I think that empathy that I have in how I approach the issue, approach the problem, listen to all sides. Otherwise, you will never be able to run the agency also. Never mind client relationships, running the agency itself, I tend to listen to all sides of and get the full story. And then I see the solution right in front of me. So that has helped me, whether it's internal or it's external. So that I always believe, don't take the first complaint or the issue that comes. Look at it from every point, then you really find where the problem was, and it's easy to sort.
Right. Any other specific things? Like for example, now these are things I've heard about what different people do, right? Some people have this tactic of, you know, trying to make sure that they socialize with them after work. You know, certain people, depending on who they are, take them out for a drink, or you know, treat them for their birthdays, or you know, the different things that different people like employ. These are things I've heard of.
Yes, I know that, but I never dined with a client on my own. Even if we do take a client out, it's always the team. We go as a team and we invite the client team and we'll have a nice meal. And we've had clients inviting us, let's go out, you know, we had a good year, the brand is doing well, the equity has done well, so we want to thank you guys. And actually there are clients that feel that the agency helped to get there. So that is something I appreciate in clients, and they have taken us out. And of course, birthdays, we'll send them cake or something like that. Very, nothing over the top. We always maintain that good professional relationship, I would say.
I used to give a tip to my guys back when I was running the agency, where I used to always tell them, you know, when you call a client, try not to be so serious at the beginning of the conversation, you know.
Okay.
Crack a joke, make them laugh, make them feel good, get them in a good mood, then you might get what you want done towards the end of the conversation. Because I think, personally, I feel like a good relationship is also about breaking the ice.
Yes, yes.
Right? Because
Agreed.
if you don't break that ice, it's just awkward and it becomes so serious, and you don't get connected with the human side of the other person.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I think every client has a different way of handling things. I don't think every client at different levels, you can crack a joke and you know, start to break the conversation through. But otherwise, there are some clients that you really need to know.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Your
it all
client
depends on the person.
right? And then I think approach it.
Yeah.
So studying that client,
It could be
that's why relationships matter. Once you have a relationship, you know what triggers, what ticks with that.
It could be even something as simple as, you know, speaking to the person the first thing with a big smile on your face, right? And even that good morning, the way
Yeah.
how you say it, you know, with the tone,
Yeah.
can, you know, make the other person feel good. You know?
I think that's what is missing. One of the saddest parts now. Those days we used to always call our clients in the morning.
Yeah.
Whether we had something to do for them or whether we had work or not, we used to just call. Hi, how are you doing? You know, is everything okay? How is the brand doing? How is the sales going? Just called to check on you. Just that. But now, I think after COVID, it has got even worse. People don't talk to each other. They don't call their clients.
Absolutely.
And I'm sometimes screaming,
And
saying,
everything is on
"Have your-"
WhatsApp, right?
Yeah.
Everything's on WhatsApp. For the slightest thing, people are just too anxious to call people. They want to message
Yeah.
and get everything
and
done.
finish it.
Yeah.
So that closeness that you're talking about and trying to understand that client has becoming so difficult to do, because it is broken down by online to this to that. I mean, I see a huge difference when you really go in person to meet a client, and how that conversation goes, and trying to do that same thing online.
Absolutely.
It has never been.
Okay, been in the industry for a while, been, for example, former president of the 4As, you know, you have had your fair share of dealings in the industry. So I'm going to ask you the same question I've asked every guest that has been, almost every guest that has been on this show. Your thoughts about the industry. I want to know what you think we're doing wrong, what we can improve, and then what we think we're doing right. Just give me your honest, genuine thoughts.
I think it's a beautiful industry. If people can come together, we try as much as possible. I think what's lacking today is our own relationships in the industry. You know, we are trying to build relationships with our clients and do so many things, but I think the relationships we have within our industry, the understanding, I won't say everybody doesn't, but some do. Some do have good relationships where they come together, you know, and understand that we are all one. I would really wish that we see it that way. Although we want to go there, there is always something holding us back. We don't trust each other. I think that trust needs to come in, and if all of us can come together with that common goal in mind, we wouldn't have a lot of the issues we're having. Even today, some of the client issues, some clients try to play each other.
Play each other, yeah.
One against the other, cost cutting. They will say that one gave me a lower cost than you are giving me a higher cost. I mean, all that. I've seen some agencies really saying, look, this is what I give. I mean, they're very open
yeah.
about. So more and more, I think that trust, if we can build among the industry
taking
itself.
from what you're saying, I mean, it's not just the relationships with clients we need to be mindful about. We need to have a good relationship within the industry as well.
Then we will not be taken on a ride by clients.
Yeah,
so
that's true. And what do you think we're doing well as an industry?
What are we doing well? Nothing comes to my mind.
Wow, that's brutal. That's brutal.
I'm trying to find what is it that we're doing well. As a common entity, I don't see much.
Okay.
Right? I think the 4As is the only body that is at least trying to do something.
I'm going to stop you there for example, because it's going to touch into my next and final question for this segment. Because I really want to know, you were actually a former president of the 4As, just to give an understanding to our viewers. When was that?
In about, I would say, about 7 years ago.
7 years ago, right. So, and I think after you there was another board, and now it's this board that is there, whose tenure is also, it's almost over, right? Now, there are obviously certain things that this board has taken initiatives to do in the past year or so. I want to know from your perspective, from as a former president of the 4As, what do you think of the current board right now?
I think they're really good. I think we have a lot of right people in the right place, and it's a good mix. It's a good mix of a lot of agencies to coming together, seniors who knows where we want to go with this industry, And I've seen them actually making headway on doing a lot of good things, a lot of good things. They're not just concentrating on one thing. They're concentrating on a lot of things that can build the youth, help us retain talent, bring in new talent, uh, lack of advertising awards, that's been done. I think you all have done a lot within this short span. That's why I feel, although it's a 1-year tenure, some of the things that you all have taken on to do need to see continuity. Otherwise, it's going to be like our government,
Absolutely.
right? When the moment the government changes, nothing happens. I think
Even
if you all
for
can,
example, if you take this program, one of my wishes is the fact that I may not be here to do it, but I
But at
wish that
least-
it gets continued with the next board, you
Yeah.
know. That's why we introduced it as season 1.
Exactly.
We would like to see a season 2 with the next board.
Yeah, yeah. So if we do that and the 4As drives that continuity, I think even the youth will take us a little more seriously, because I think the 4As has that opportunity to get out there and show what the industry can be.
Interesting.
That will help trigger the retention of youth in the industry, people wanting to join the industry, keeping that interest going. So it's beyond just an individual agency trying to do. That's why I said all of us, if we can come together and do this for the industry, right, and not even wait for the 4As to do it. Other agency heads and leaders can come together and see, work together with the 4As and see how we are going to really plan out the next future of
Got
the industry in our country.
All right. That being said, let's go in for a short break. Very interesting thoughts. Thank you for that. I'm sure from some of the things you said that the board would also appreciate it. So we're going to go in for a short message from our sponsor, Lanka Tiles.
Enjoy the infinite possibilities of the freedom of space, inspired by the breathtaking beauty of our land. Sri Lanka's finest finished, largest sized porcelain tile collection. Majestica, Lanka Tiles. Fine living, redefined.
Welcome back to the third segment. You're with me, Wasaam, and we have Sheron here for this final episode of Beyond the Billboard. Now, can I also know what are some of the key trends you see shaping the advertising industry? The future of advertising. What do you think are the
I think
trends?
from taking it from what's happening globally, all this AI and ChatGPT and all these things,
Generative AI.
it is, and we are going to rely on those more and more, because we are lacking the talent also we need. So that's going to be a big issue. While that is a solution, that is also not the greatest solution. I would say the thinking, that youth, that passion, the drive that needs to come from people, that we are trying to get into the industry, while we'll find quick solutions through AI and
But at the same time, I
ChatGPT,
think
everything.
now that AI is here to stay, I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah.
I think anyone and everyone's going to kind of lose out if they don't start learning how to use these tools, right? Because at the end of the day, it's about being competitive, right? If you don't adapt to what's coming,
Yeah.
you're going to stay behind.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So that is going to shape the industry. I know we are looking at talent. I think, like you say, that is one area
Yeah.
that's going to change the industry. So we'll need to then look at talent, the younger
Absolutely.
audience, more and more in that space. And they'll have to have that balance of thinking because of the creativity,
Right.
and then reach out to ChatGPT and AI.
Anything else, maybe even on a local perspective, do you see any trends or anything else that you feel that's important that you would like to share?
I think a lot of collaboration is happening, which is a good thing. Because of the talent that we can't have individually in two agencies, the affordability of having those talents also is becoming difficult. I think more and more we are collaborating with those talents
Yeah.
from outside.
Yeah.
And
That's good, right? And also, I mean, you can see, for example, agencies working with other agencies in areas they
Yeah.
don't specialize in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For example, you would see either media or creative agencies working with digital agencies, vice versa.
Yeah. And we're also reaching out to even regional agencies,
Agencies.
To support us in certain talents and reach that we wouldn't otherwise have. And by that, you're actually balancing out your economies also.
Right.
So that's going to be.
And finally, what I'd like to ask you is, so this is the final question for the entire season. Finally, what I'd like to ask you is, what advice can you give anyone, any young people, anyone who wants to get into advertising, anybody who wants to have a great career in advertising?
I would say first, please have some passion and commitment to put the time it needs. You can't work normally and go off. There's so much to learn, and if you don't have that passion to learn, wanting to see a brand do well, wanting to see your work get out there, put in good work, good thinking, that comes with commitment. So I think anyone getting into advertising, we had that before. We didn't care about what time we went home. We used to stay back. We used to not realize that it has become the next day morning. And still we used to, just go on. We had that energy to go on. But I see the younger crowd getting drained out before they could even reach the 2 hours or 3 hours. So I said, I would think if you have that passion and the drive and commitment that you are going to make things work, I think that's what we need the future generation to think about.
All right. So thank you very much, Sheron. This has been great having this conversation with you. So that takes us to the end of the season. Thank you very much for watching season 1. I hope you guys have been enjoying the content. And before we do go, I'd like to kind of remind you to hit the subscribe button if you've been enjoying the content, because you can stay updated in terms of what's happening with the 4As. I'd like to also thank our sponsors. Our episode sponsor is Lanka Tiles, our production partner Hype Media Network, our creative partner Loops Integrated, and our location partner Triad. Thank you very much for supporting the advertising industry, and a final thank you to all the sponsors who has been with us throughout this season. So that's it from us.
Thank you very much to you, Azam, and for the 4As for having me.
Thank you very much. So it's a pleasure having you here. That's it. Enjoy and good luck.